this August 3 edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content, and contests, including our NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Wednesday, August the 2nd, and we are here with a 12 game card maybe for Thursday, August the 3rd. Joining me, looking resplendent in his Columbia football jersey. Now, you see, the other day you were proud of yourself for saying football instead of soccer. I've just said jersey instead of shirt. So we're both slowly swapping languages here. You're turning more British as I turn American. Mr. Dylan Rockford, D-Rock, how are you doing?
What's going on, Malcolm? Good to be with you. Yeah, I figured every time I'm on the pod with you, I got to break out a different country's jersey. So today is Colombia, and rightfully so. Like you said, they beat England, right? Or Germany. They beat Germany.
They beat the Germans, yeah.
Nice. So, yeah, 66-1 ticket, right?
The most American thing I could have said was uniform rather than jersey, but I haven't sunk that low yet. But no, Dylan, that's a nice little segue. The Women's World Cup show on the Premier League Gambling Podcast, we threw out Colombia the other day at 66-1 because they did beat Germany. They're going to win their group and they're going to get a nice little run through to the quarterfinals. They get Jamaica in the next round. They should be able to beat Jamaica. And then they're going to be in the quarterfinals, a team that's already beat one of the tournament favourites, Germany. And they're at 66-1. So, yeah, fill your boots, go and get involved
right
in
now,
Colombia.
I'm looking at it. They are 32-1. So much. You should have got it while you got it.
Don't sleep on this thing. I think that's because Jamaica won today. Jamaica knocked Brazil out today, where Colombia were due to play Italy, but Italy fucked it. So Jamaica made it through. Who's in the chat? TVDBJ first in. Congratulations. Questionable bets. QB1 is here. Ryan. Ryan's had a good streak, lately. He's putting some numbers up. Captain Sano. What we're going to talk about. I saw Kramer earlier on put a little tweet out that his wife was complaining. Asked him what his schedule was for the next few days, and it was just constant previews. I'm in exactly the same boat here with the Premier League previews going out. The IT department here is trying to watch Yellowstone on the old dodgy Fire Stick, and it hasn't been working. She eventually got it working about 7 minutes ago, and then I just stuck my head through the door and said, "You'll have to turn that shit off. I'm podcasting." So she's gone stormed off to bed in a bad temper. So that's the thing that's happened. But instead of talking, I had 20 minutes on talcum powder and courgettes to do. But Moonaf has insisted that we talk about the trade deadline, Dylan. Captain Insano was wondering why we haven't traded you away, because there is no one left at the New York Mets. Last one out, turned the lights off and closed the door. Everybody's gone, Dylan. What's happened?
Yeah, everyone's gone. Like I said, I think we were on together on Sunday when they traded Scherzer, and I said, hey, don't be surprised if they trade Verlander. They had a nice last start for us. They wind up trading him going back to Houston, and we traded Tommy Pham as well. Got literally nothing for him. I do like the prospects though that we got for Justin Verlander. They are some studs. I was looking them up. They could play baseball, but other than that, I really didn't think the Mets did anything good, to be honest. I don't think any of the guys are good. Now I'm reading reports today. I'll read it straight to you, the article that I read, but I'm looking for it. Yeah. So according to multiple rival expert clubs, the Mets are entertaining the idea of trading Pete Alonso after this season. Alonso's a free agent after 2024. And the belief right now is that the Mets aren't close to a potential extension to keep him in New York. So he's probably gone as well. So the only people we're probably going to keep, Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, the guys that we've kept long-term, hopefully Edwin Diaz, but yeah, not looking good. We punted on the season. I hate Billy Epler with a burning passion. He basically was telling we're rebuilding when we shouldn't be rebuilding, and he was trying to be politically correct and saying we're transitioning into 2025, 2026, whatever the fuck that means. Just be honest with me. Be straight up. Don't be passive aggressive and just don't say what you really mean. So it's very unfortunate. I think the moment that the Mets season went down was the World Baseball Classic when Edwin Diaz went down. That's when it all went downhill for us.
Yeah, that was kind of a dagger through the heart of the spirit of the club, not just physically to Diaz and what he was going to do to the bullpen, but just it did feel like a bubble burst at that time. I mean, all joking aside, I kind of admire what the intention is, because it's not an easy thing to do, particularly in New York. I think other teams can do it, can completely tear it down. But this is an unusual thing that the Mets are attempting. So time will tell, basically. I mean, nothing ever changed by staying the same, and the Mets have tried this one strategy for a long time, and it hasn't really worked. So let's have a go at something different with the baby Mets and these new additions. Obviously, Texas have gone stone cold nuts, adding JV and Scherzer. Scherzer is on the hill tomorrow for Texas. I mean, just looking around other bits and bobs that I made notes of. Jack Flaherty to the Orioles was a little bit underwhelming. I thought there were better options for Flaherty. He's okay. He's had a couple of good starts, but I just thought there were better options for Baltimore, so that was a little bit underwhelming. Kansas City are stone cold nuts. That's sort of what they're playing at. One of the other odd ones here for me was San Diego, because they tried signing all the good players over the last couple of years. It hasn't really worked, so they thought, well, let's sign some shit ones and see if that works. So Rich Hill and G-Man Choi was the other one.
Yeah, now, and Garrett Cooper.
From Miami. So I understand. I was watching. What's his name? Is it Mark DeRosa maybe this afternoon? And he said that you can't go out because they went and signed all those tremendous players and spent a gazillion pounds. You can't go and do that again. So maybe it made more sense to firm up the margins of what they were doing, like to firm up the periphery, which is what maybe Rich Hill can do in G-Man Choi. So it made a little bit more sense that way, but it was just an odd one. Miami added some bats because they've been they've got the worst record in MLB since the All-Star break. They're 4-12 since the break. And Jake Berger, we talked about a lot actually the last few weeks on the show. He's been quite prevalent in the Discord channel. People like a Jake Berger home run streak.
And Josh Bell.
Yeah, Josh Bell, another good bat there. Cleveland have decided they don't want to win when I don't understand that at all. They've just gift wrapped that division and given it to Minnesota, who I'm not sure they want to win it either, but they now have got little choice because Cleveland have handed that. Who did they? I mean, obviously they traded Savali away. They got rid of Ahmed Rosario yesterday as well.
To the Dodgers.
And then the other one we want to talk about, I mean, it's a Yankees podcast, Dylan. So the Yankees were noticeable for doing pretty much bugger all. Kane and Middleton, who is a perfectly useful bullpen arm, but he's not the head. You might expect him to find him like on the second page of the Yankees trades that day. And also they signed right-handed relief pitcher Kane and Middleton. Well done. But it's their headline trade. The Yankees sitting in fifth place and doing absolutely nothing. So what did you make of any of that?
I was actually going to pose that question too, because I really didn't understand what the Yankees were just standing still. Either you're going to go for it and make some moves and make a run at the playoffs, or you're going to punt on the season. And they kind of just stood still and really didn't do anything, which was very mind-boggling to me. So, I really don't know what they were doing. I mean, what they added, I didn't really think they needed, to be honest. They already had a top 5 bullpen. They needed other areas that I thought. But Padres were another one. I'm shocked that Blake Snell stayed, to be honest. And I guess they're making a move for it. But Yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to go. The Orioles, you mentioned Jake Flaherty. They needed a pitcher. We talked about it on Sunday, you and I, that they needed another pitcher. Jake Flaherty, we'll see how he does, but I didn't know if that was the other one. Cubs, they wind up keeping everyone. They're going to go for it. They're rolling right now, so they're staying put. They're going to contend as well. So that was very interesting. And yeah, like I said, just the Padres, the Marlins, hopefully these bats, hopefully Josh Bell and Jake Berger could help, because like you said, they haven't been right since the All-Star break. And the two bats I do like, Randall Grichuk and CJ Cron for the Angels. It didn't really help today. They got blown out by the Braves, but I do like those two additions from the Rockies.
Yeah, they've already contributed. We had a bit of a giggle when we picked the Angels at plus 205 or whatever it was the other night. But they cashed again. My lock and dog spreadsheet is it's made it into 4 figures profit. So effectively 10 units of profit there. When I was 7 units down the start of May, turned it right around on a right good run of underdog picks. A lot of them involving Baltimore, who just keep winning. Baltimore, Cincinnati, sort of 2 out of every 3 nights.
Yeah, especially as dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. Baltimore, they're about 105 and 110 just about every night. And then last night again, they just absolutely smashed the daylights out of the Blue Jays. We've had some baseball today. What's been going on today.
How'd you do today?
Astros touched off the Guardians. I can't rightly remember. Erod has won today for the Tigers. He's the one person we haven't mentioned who's probably worth a mention. The Tigers beat the Pirates 6-3 behind a good start from Erod. What I didn't get, he's got this no trade clause with 10 teams in it. So I didn't understand why the Tigers are negotiating with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Like, find someone else. He's not going there. He's told you that. Yeah. Why are you wasting everyone's time? However, if you are Erod and you're a free agent in how many weeks' time? Like 8 weeks, 9 weeks?
Something like that, yeah.
Like, what's the difference? You don't just go and have a lovely holiday. Like, you could come and stay with me for 8 or 9 weeks.
And at least you're going to make the playoffs.
Have a playoff run, yeah. And then I'll say, see you later, Dylan. I'll wave you off in the second week in October. You can disappear off. You go where you want. Like, that was just a bit baffling to me. You obviously really, really didn't want to go.
Yeah, it was
so yeah, that was all a bit nuts. Like I say, the Braves put up a shit ton of runs, 12 runs again at home against the Angels. The Brewers blew it late on.
Oh, my God. 3 errors cost me. I had the Brewers' money line, and they blew it. Oh, my God.
Oh, really? 3 errors. Yeah, you're not going to win on 3. A lot of errors tonight, actually. The Pirates lost with the errors. What is the stat? 67% of games, I think, if you make the fewer errors, you're going to win in MLB.
Yep.
Examples tonight, yeah. Brewers made the errors, lost 3-2. The Pirates made errors, lost. And all the Brewers and Guardians they both lost 3-2 tonight. Absolute classic comparison games for every Brewers and Guardians game you're ever going to watch.
Are you on the Red Sox or Mariners today?
I can't remember, is the short answer. I don't think I've had an actual bet.
I thought this was a good spot for the Mariners, and they're losing 2-0.
I think I took the over, actually. I did take Seattle. Yeah. I don't mind Crawford at all, but it was a slight lean towards Seattle. It wasn't a big one. Padres lead at the Rockies 4-1 as well. Right, okay, let's handicap today's games instead of boring everyone. If people download this and listen, this is going to be like a history podcast rather than something to give odds for tomorrow. I'll tell you about the Patreon page before we crack on. Oh, go on, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a corduroy hat?
Yeah.
Oh, I love some corduroy. I got some corduroy pants. I love it.
Dylan, you can come again. We've discussed the corduroy hat in the past, but I'll talk about it again, if only to annoy Muna. I really like it, Dylan. The only problem is it's too new. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You like your things to be a little bit lived in, don't you? So I've been trying to distress this by just wearing it out and about. If it's raining, I'll go out in the rain. I've been leaving it in the van to get crumbs on and bits of dinner on and stuff. I need it to be a little bit more distressed because it looks too pristine. But I'm a big fan of the corduroy pants. I kind of invented, do you know why corduroy goes up and down, doesn't it? Vertically.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why can't it go round?
I have no idea. You're asking the
Wait,
wrong
mate,
guy.
would you buy some round corduroy pants, wouldn't you?
Yeah, hell yeah.
There you go. Right then, write that down. We'll invent those. If anyone's out there wants to invest, Dragon's Den, would you call it Shark Tank in your country? Any Shark Tank investors, £100,000 for 20% of the business, round corduroy pants by me and Dylan. Seriously, get on with the show, Dylan. The Patreon, what's happening here? Access to exclusive contests, including the NFL win totals with a $1,000 first place prize, SGP Stories podcast, uncensored show highlighting the best stories from decades of being DGens. The Discord channel, exclusive as well. Loads of contests, merch, all sorts of things. Helping the network. You need to go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Ah, shit, Dylan Moonaf's cornered. What we on? 16 minutes. Oh. We're getting to the picks now, Moonaf. Oh, hells. I blame the chat for this because they started us off. Right, okay. Let's get to... I'm on the wrong page now as well. Moonaf, you've completely thrown me off here. Go away. Go and play with the baby or something. A little bit of day sport tomorrow. 2:10 Eastern first pitch. It is your New York Mets still in. And oddly enough, it's off the board with a TBD pitcher because they don't have any pitchers.
You traded
Kansas City is Brady Singer, but I haven't seen a pitcher listed all day. I'm guessing the Mets are getting the house in order. It makes sense. I've seen no lines. Dylan, do you have much on this with the Mets at the Royals?
No, not much. I know it is Brady Singer, which I really don't want to back him either. I talked about having the Mets a lot unders now since we traded away a lot of our bats and pitchers, but I mean, it was 2-1 going into the 8th inning yesterday, and the game goes over. It was just insane. So, I mean, you got winds blowing in tomorrow. I mean, I think looking at the Mets rotation, I think it might be Carlos Carrasco. If it is, look towards an over. You got Carlos Carrasco and Brady Singer in one game. I mean, just look towards the over. There are going to be some runs in that game. Yeah,
obviously, it's pretty hard to take anything when we don't really know what's going on. But I just don't know why at this point you wouldn't take Kansas City. We said tongue-in-cheek yesterday that they were on their longest winning streak of the season, which is 3. They then made that 4 by beating the Mets. And then the Mets are just coming in absolute, complete, not a disarray. Brady Singer, his last 2 starts have been good. Whoever the Mets roll out, I would imagine the Royals will be a plus price. Going to get plus 130, plus 140 maybe. And I'd just be if it's Carrasco or one of these sort of names that you know. Sorry,
he's been awful. I don't know why Carlos Carrasco would even be a favorite. I guess it's because it's Kansas City. But if you, like you said, if Kansas City is getting plus 130, plus 140 at home, I think it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I think it is. The Mets are on the naughty step. There's nothing else for it. So, completely agree. Aiden's in. He's in on the corduroy pants, the round corduroy pants. GoFundMe is what we need to do. We'll set the details up. That wasn't the first game. I went top left-hand corner for the Mets. I haven't done that for a while. There is an earlier game, which is a 12:10 Eastern first pitch. The Philadelphia Phillies and the Miami Marlins. We have Michael Lorenzen, who is a new Philadelphia Philly, and Johnny Cueto will go for Miami. It's close on the books. It's minus 125 on Philly, plus 112 on Miami with a total of 8.5. Yeah, Michael Lorenzen, I think he earned his trade really after he's had 2 months of sub-2 ERAs, not 2 consecutive months, might I add. I think they were May and July, but included in that is a 1.14 July ERA through 23 2/3 pitch. He was an all-star, and he's just been solid on a bad team. He goes into Miami, where he's got a 3.93 ERA in 6 appearances there. So doesn't really concern me at all. Johnny Cueto is a bit of an odd one. 0-2 on the year, 5.06 ERA. He's now had 3 games back from the IL. He's doing okay, and he will improve. He has lost. Miami have lost all those 3 games, but his whip's been low enough for me. I can look beyond the earned run numbers. He just seems to have run into a bit of bad luck, or the odd unfortunately timed home run against him. I trust both pitchers here. Miami have been in a bit of a slump, like I say, worst record in baseball since the All-Star break. They have added Bellenberger to try and address that, but I think Lorenzen should just pick up where he left off. I don't see a reason why he can't, and I do think Johnny Cueto is going to go well down the stretch. So give me an under. 8.5 is too high for a Miami game, just about all the time. And I'll take the first 5 under as well, Dylan.
Yeah, I like the Phillies here, getting a short price, -125. I like the under 8.5 as well. I made my total 8.2. I do think 8.5s are high, especially at home in Miami. But I do like Michael Lorenzen, better than Johnny Cueto at this point. I think Lorenzen, you mentioned in July, he's been dealing in the month of July. Actually, the last 2 months, he's been really good. So last start was his only start where he gave up any runs in the month of July. So Miami, they've been struggling, like you mentioned earlier in the show, coming out of the All-Star break. But and they've been struggling against the Phillies too as well. Phillies have had their number. So I think picking up Lorenzo is going to be a great fit for both parties because, he'll actually be backed up by a much better lineup than he was in Detroit. But, the Marlins, they have lost every game Cueto has started for them thus far. So I got to take the short price with the Phillies, but I do agree. I think he will be better. So I do lean under, but I do like the Phillies with the short price on the road, -125.
2:05 Eastern first pitches, the Chicago White Sox at the Texas Rangers. Touki Toussaint for the White Sox, and Max Scherzer goes for the Texas Rangers. +200 on the south side as -238 for Texas. Total is set at 8.5. Touki Toussaint is 1-3 on the year, 3.50 ERA. He pitched well in his last home start against Cleveland. This is not a good spot for him, unfortunately. The White Sox have sold more offense. They didn't have much to start with. They held on to Dylan Cease, which was quite surprising. I just think this all points towards Texas going very well. It's a new start for Scherzer, but it's better starts. It's better starts for the Mets. We're at home. We're at Citi Field rather than on the road. Now, I mean, you can almost class this as a road start. It's tricky to handicap Scherzer into the equation, but I am quite happy to take a Texas team total. I think Texas against Toussaint is the easiest way to handicap this, rather than factor in Scherzer, just in case there's something, a little bit of rustiness or something in that first start at Texas, where he was pitching well at home in New York. So I happily take Scherzer out the equation. -230, it's a short price anyway. There's not much you can do with that. I'll take a Texas team total, Dylan.
Yeah, I like the over 8.5. I also lean Rangers on the run line -105. I made my total 9.4. Should be a fun start here. Scherzer making his first start for the Rangers. He'll actually get run support here from one of the best lineups in baseball. But Scherzer, he is good to give up a few runs as well. When he was with the Mets, he was a little inconsistent where he'd have a good start and then the next start he'd give up 5 runs and then the next start he'd be really good. He did have a good solid outing in his last start against the Mets, so maybe he's due for a few runs. And Toussaint, I agree. I just don't think this is a good spot for him. I think he's a fade on the road. His hard hit rate on the road has been in the high 40s. So, yeah, I agree. I don't think this is a good spot for him. I think both lineups can score some runs here. So I'm going to go over 8.5 in this one.
And the next 2 games we have here are the final 2 off the board games. So we've got loads of stuff after that we can get into. The next one's understandable as it is a 3:07 Eastern first pitch between the Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays. So Baltimore haven't listed their pitcher, obviously trying to decide at what point Flaherty is going to slot into that rotation. And Kevin Gausman is going to go for Toronto. So we have no lines thus far on this. Dylan, you have much on this one?
No, but I mean, it's hard to imagine that Flaherty wouldn't get the start. You know what I mean? So I feel like if he does get the start, I still think Kevin Gausman and the Blue Jays will be the favorite. Maybe around a -160, -170. I have to put it in to see what my model makes it. But I mean, it's hard to get in front of this Orioles team right now. I mean, they've been just cashing as dogs left and right. We saw it the other day on the 31st against the Blue Jays, and they just beat them the other night 13-3. So, I mean, it's just they've lost 3 in a row, the Blue Jays right now at home. So, I don't know. I do think Kevin Gausman can do well, but depending on what this opening line is, maybe I'll look towards an under. If we're able to get like an 8.5 or 9, maybe I'll look under because I do think if it is Flaherty, I do think both pitchers can reel it in and have a lower scoring game. So maybe an under, but I got to see who pitches for the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, I just don't know. I can't think of a world where I wouldn't back Baltimore tomorrow, regardless of who they put out. Yeah. I like Gausman. He's reliable. The Blue Jays have lost 4 of his last 5 starts, so it doesn't matter how good he is. They still get beat. And Baltimore keep beating everyone and keep beating everyone at plus money. It's unbelievable. It's pretty much a blind bet for a couple of reasons. It's not like the Blue Jays is sweeping the board when Gausman's on the hill. So, yeah, whatever's going on, I'll take Baltimore.
Malcolm, real quick, 2 things. They're not scoring for runs for Gausman, and they're just not scoring runs in general as a team. Like, no matter who's on the mound, they scored 3 runs yesterday, 2 runs the other night, 2 runs the other night. So they're not scoring runs, and lines just popped up on DraftKings. Toronto minus 135, plus 115 for
every night, man.
Every night, and the total's at 8, which surprising. It is probably going to be Flaherty. So 8. I really wish I got an 8.5 and I would have taken the under, but I mean, I gotta agree. I have to roll with the plus 114. There's no way they should be a dog after just beating the Blue Jays consecutive games in a row. So yeah, I agree. I gotta take the Orioles here.
Completely. Randy's here. Hey, Randy. Randy's commenting on my hat as well. People are trying to goad me now.
You, it's the corduroy.
People are trying to goad me at the more corduroy chat. Has Moonaf gone yet? The 3:45 Eastern first pitch is the Arizona Diamondbacks at the San Francisco Giants. Brandon Pfaadt is the pitcher for the D-backs. San Francisco is TBD. Unfortunately, no lines on this. Brandon Pfaadt is 0-4 in the year, 8.20 ERA. It's his 3rd start of this visit to the majors. A little bit better. Again, better days ahead. Still unreliable. Home runs have been a problem. He's given up 3 earned runs in his last 2 starts. That seems fair enough. I think that's kind of what you're going to expect. Don't know who's going for the Giants. The Giants have won 5 of 7. Pretty good at home. Arizona aren't winning much. But other than that, I'm not going to give out a pick because I have no idea what the prices might be, Dylan.
Yeah, it's still hard to back the Diamondbacks here for me. They haven't been scoring a lot of runs. They haven't been winning a lot of games. Well, like you said, Giants are winning most of their games right now. They're making a push too. I don't know. I saw Jacob Junis, then I saw Ryan Walker, and then it was off the board. So I don't know. I just don't want to be laying these big prices with the Giants because they've burned me the past couple. I think last week I've taken them when they were minus 150, minus 155. So depending on the number, I could see myself on the Giants. I got to see what the number is.
7:15 Eastern first pitch is the Houston Astros at the New York Yankees. Christian Javier goes for Houston and Clark Schmidt goes to start for the Yankees. Minus 115 on the Astros, minus 105 on the Yankees. Total is set at 9. Dylan, I'm hoping you're going to say the things I was going to say. Come on, hit me. Don't let me down.
Yeah, I mean, first, I got the Astros when they opened up a plus money dog. So, one, I don't understand how they opened up an underdog against Clark Schmidt on the mound. No disrespect to Clark Schmidt, but now they're the favorite, minus 115. That sounds about more right. I still like the short price with them. I made them a minus 130 with Christian Javier on the mound. I don't trust the Yankees or this offense right now. Outside of that one game last week where they scored 8 runs and they won against the Orioles, they haven't scored more than 3 runs in over a week. They've lost 4 of the last 5. And let's not bury the lead. The Astros have they have owned the Yankees dating back to last season. So Yankees are just 2-6 straight up at home in their last 8 games when Schmidt's on the mound. So I know Javier, he's kind of struggled this last month, but I do think this might be a good get-right spot for him against a struggling offense. So I'll take the short number with the Astros on the road. They're just a much better team right now.
Dylan, you did not let me down. Yeah, I don't know anyone can take the Yankees in this spot. The prices are far too close to that. I can't believe you saw a plus money price earlier on. I was delighted with the minus 115. Javier has had a couple of bad starts, but he's shaking them off lately. Schmidt has got fairly steady lines, but you just can't trust anything to do with the Yankees at this point. You might back them the odd day if they were a better price, but not in this spot, not at this price. Houston are a better team. Javier's a better pitcher. Minus 115 seems pretty straightforward to me. I will be all over Houston. We've got a handful of games left. I'll tell you about our new sponsor here, the round corduroy trouser company. Not really. It's Underdog Fantasy, of course, people. The NFL season is right around the corner. Underdog Pick'em is a great way to get down on a ton of NFL player props, loads of markets as well. Plenty of opportunities to win in their daily MLB contests. And of course, make sure to enter Best Ball Mania 4, where first place gets $3 million. Head to underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. 5 games left on the card, all on the board. We can run through these, Dylan. Let's smash out the 5-team winning parlay. Start with the 7:15 Eastern first pitch between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Milwaukee Brewers. We have Mitch Keller for Pittsburgh. We have Adrian Hauser for the Brewers. Plus 106, Pittsburgh. Minus 124, Milwaukee. Total of 8.5. Keller is 9-7 on the year, has a 3.97 ERA, but he's been a right old mess lately. Lots of walks, lots of hits, has translated into runs, unfortunately. And Pittsburgh have lost all of those starts. 4 of the last 5, of his last 5, they've lost by over 1 run as well. I think there's a little 3-2 in there, but they've had a couple of spankings in there from Keller. Hauser, however, hasn't been an awful lot better. He's 3-3 on the year with a 4.43 ERA, but 5.06 in his last 5. He is about half a run better at home, I think, which might make a little difference. It might just make just enough to win here, in fact. This is quite a tricky pick. The Brewers just snapped a 4-game losing streak yesterday, but then got right back to it again today by losing late on to Washington, which has already cost you money. This is quite a hard pick, but I think Milwaukee can pick up we just talked about it, the Brewers and the Guardians. Low scoring, ugly, home win, minus 125 is just about big enough. And the Brewers will win 4-3. Dylan.
Yeah, hopefully they don't fuck me again, but I agree. I do like the Brewers here at home in this short price. I got a minus 120, minus 124 still fine. I made them a minus 150 favorite. You know, real quick, I really thought the Pirates were going to trade Mitch Keller at the deadline, but, you know, they decided to keep him. I don't like backing Keller, you know, on the road where he does give up a lot of more hard contact, more runs than he does at home. He didn't look good in his start against Milwaukee. Gave up 4 runs in 5 innings in his last start against Milwaukee. Brewers won that game 5-0. So, you know, I'll also give a pass to Adrian Hauser in his last 2 starts. He faced the Braves in back-to-back starts. That's no easy task for anyone. So, you know, I do think this is a good spot for him, kind of like the other one I just talked about, you know, where it's a kind of a get-right spot for him. So I'm going to cross my fingers. The Brewers should win this game. It is their game to lose. I'll take the short price with the Brewers as well.
7:45 Eastern first pitch, the Minnesota Twins at the St. Louis Cardinals. We have Sonny Gray pitching for Minnesota, and it is Matthew Liberatore, left-handed pitcher, will go for St. Louis. Minus 154 for the Twins, plus 130 on the cards. Total is 9.5, Dylan.
Yeah, I like the Twins here at home on the money line. I was able to get a minus 115. To be honest, anything under a minus 130, that's what I made the Twins a minus 130 favorite. So, you know, I do think they have the pitching advantage in this game with Sonny Gray over Matthew Liberatore. I know people don't...
Dylan, sorry, what price have you got? You've got the Twins up at minus 115, have you seen?
Yeah, I got them earlier. What are they now?
Oh, wow, I've got minus 154 is what I saw.
Oh, my God.
Go on, you keep talking. I'll double check.
Well, then I don't know if there's really much value on them anymore because I only made them a minus 130 favorite. So maybe a first 5 minus a half, but yeah. Anyway, I really just don't understand why people don't like Gray. I know he hasn't been solid, but he hasn't been that bad on the road as people are saying. His hard hit rate on the road is only in the low 30s. He just really hasn't gotten the run support for them to be competitive on the road. So I honestly could make the argument Matthew Liberatore has been worse than Gray recently. He couldn't even get out of the first inning in his last start against the Marlins. He's only gone past the fifth inning one time this year. His hard hit rate is way higher than Sonny Gray. So I got to make the argument Matthew Liberatore has been worse than Sonny Gray, but people love to shit on Sonny Gray. So Cardinals, they're just 3-7 in their last 10 games. Hard to back them. I know they're home, but I just think the Twins are the right side in this game. I think that is why you are seeing money come in on them. But I do like the Twins right now. I'm looking at the number right now, and I'm seeing I see still minus. Oh no, this is today. Excuse me, minus 126. Tomorrow.
I've got best price minus 145 is the best price I can see.
Yeah, I really trust my numbers, so I don't like going anything above that. So anything over minus 130, I kind of would stay away. In the chat, they're saying over. I set my total at 9.3, so it's at a 9.5. I guess I would lean under at that point then. Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that's hard to trust here. I would take Minnesota if you gave me a $100 bill and said go and back one of these. I'd back Minnesota. Gray was a darling a couple of months ago, and he's had a little wobble lately, but I still like him a lot. I say Cleveland have absolutely opened the door for Minnesota to go and take this division. His last two starts have been better. I do like Matthew Liberatore. His numbers haven't been great. He hasn't backed it up yet. I'll be looking for him to get some wins down the stretch between now and the end of the season. I think Liberatore can go okay, especially if the Cardinals just decide that that's it. And if the pressure's off, he can just go out and throw some innings. We'd see some good starts from Liberatore, definitely, between now and the end of the season. That'll be a trend I'm looking at, but not today. Like I say, if I was going to play, I would be playing Minnesota at minus 145. It's kind of the classic unit and a half play. This will be down my list of things to play, though. And like I say, I just wouldn't trust either side, really, to get you to that over, Ryan, that you're talking about, because certainly it was just a bit of a mess in Minnesota. Tend not to score very many runs. It's 4 3s and 3 2s.
9.5 seems like a big number. And I was going to ask you real quick, are you, because I think we could both say, I mean, they're really not, they're in last place. They're 11.5 games out. Are you surprised they didn't at least entertain or take calls for Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado?
Yeah, because that's been talked about for probably 2 or 3 weeks now. They've been, whenever you listen to a trade show, whenever we've talked about it, they've been kind of the headline names. But there was others in there as well. I think, was it Tyler O'Neill? They've got some decent players. I think the Yankees talked about Tyler O'Neill, actually. And I think maybe St. Louis thought if they can hang on to the big names, that maybe just that second tier of player might be the type of player that they could lose. It ended up doing absolutely nothing. One with the other than getting rid of Flaherty. So, but I do think the Cardinals know that their front office knows that they're just not in the position they've been in the last couple of years where they were capable of making a run and did make a second half run. I just don't think that's in the tank this year, which is why they were pretty stagnant. But yeah, it was all very underwhelming for them. But keeping Goldschmidt and Arenado, they'll be ready to fire it up again next year. 8:05 Eastern first pitch is the Cincinnati Reds at the Chicago Cubs. Luke Weaver for the Reds and Jamison Tyone goes for the Cubbies. Lines are plus 132 on Cincinnati, minus 155 on the Cubs. Luke Weaver, a total of 10, on this game. Luke Weaver, 2-3, 6.80 ERA. He was okay last time. I don't think that is to be relied upon, however. That'll be the outlier. His starts have generally been a little bit of a mess. He has 3 appearances in his career at Wrigley Field with a 8.25 ERA. I often look at those pitchers in Wrigley because it's just a slightly unusual environment. Jamison Tyone is 5-6 on the year with a 5.46 ERA. For the first half of the season, we kind of put him in auto feed. We were throwing out the stats on how many games that the Cubs had lost when Tyone pitched. And he's been great lately. He has a 2.67 ERA in his last 5 starts. his last 3 starts, he's only given up 5 earned in 17 and 1/3 pitched. He was hit by Cincinnati earlier in the season, and the one time he's faced them. But I do like him at home. Bellinger's absolutely raking. The Cubs hit 7 home runs last night, which was a franchise tie-in record. I think they've done that 4 times before in their history, maybe 5. Like I say, Bellinger's absolutely raking. I take the Cubs again because it's just at that awkward price, -155. I take them. It'll be lower down my card, but I think the Cubs will win. You can't back Weaver. More often than not, I'll try and find a reason to back Cincinnati, but I couldn't do it today, so I'll take the Cubs, Dylan.
Yeah, usually I do like to take the Reds as a dog, but like you, I just can't back Luke Weaver on the road, especially against the Cubs, who I mentioned earlier in the show. They're continuing to roll. They just put up 20 runs last night. Their bullpen's going to be tired. They're used up right now, so they need their starters to go deep into games these next few games. So I know everyone likes to shit on Jameson Taillon, and rightfully so. In the beginning of the season, he was awful, and he's been just a complete fade. But in his last 4 starts, he's kind of put everything together. You know, his hard hit rate has been kept low. And even in the game against the Reds early in the year where the Cubs lost that game, Jameson's hard hit rate was literally just 7%. So under the hood, he hasn't been all that bad. I think the Cubbies, right now, since they're that hot with the bats, I think this is a good spot for them. I don't want to take them on the money line because I only made them a -140 favorite, but getting a +130, is that still the run line price, Malcolm? +130 for the Cubs?
I can find out for you, mate, if you give me 2 seconds.
Problem. If it is, I'll take them because that's what I saw earlier in the day. So +130, I'll take a shot with the Cubs on the run line.
Cubs on the run line. Sorry, live betting here. Yeah, it is. It's +130.
Yeah, I'll take that. That's
absolutely
nice.
Correct. Trev wants to smash the Reds team totally. He's still going with the Jameson Taillon day. That's all news, Trev.
Though? Do you
moved on?
He's been better.
Trev's living in the past. That's what's going on there. Things change, Trev. Lane's joined us. Hello, Lane. How are you? Nice to have Lane with us. Okay. The penultimate game on the show is the Seattle Mariners at the LA Angels. We have Brian Wu for Seattle and Shohei Ohtani for the LA Angels. Lines +130 Seattle, -154 the Angels. Total is set at 8. It's another unit and a half price, Dylan, if you fancy the home team. Ohtani and the Angels.
I agree with Randy in the chat. I got to go over 8, -112. Yeah, the Angels should be the favorite in the spot with Ohtani on the mound. But to be honest, my numbers only made him a -140 favorite. So -154 is a little outside my range. I made my total 8.8. So I do like the over. You know, we just saw Ohtani have his first career complete game in his last start. And usually when pitchers have a complete game or a no-hitter, you know, I do like to come back and fade them in some capacity in their next start. So before that last start where he went all 9 innings, he was giving up anywhere from 4 to 5 runs per start in the month of July. So let's not forget that just because he had a nice shutout performance against the Tigers. So last time he faced the Mariners at home, he gave up 3 runs in 5 innings. The Angels won that game 5-4. The total went over. On the other side, I just really don't trust Wu in this spot. He hasn't been good in the month of July, and I think the Angels could take advantage of him in this spot. Ohtani, he's still crushing the ball. They have a good lineup. Plus, we got winds blowing out in California tomorrow, so that should help. But, yeah, 8 seems a little low for this game, so I got to go over 8 here.
Yeah, Dylan, that was exactly my handicap. I'm with you and Randy. I just think I think the total's a run too low at 8. Yeah. Brian Wu has been wobbling lately. The only thing that put me off is his last 2 starts have been the results have finished 4-3 because Seattle can just sometimes get involved in those low scoring games. But the Angels have looked a little bit better with CJ Cron and Randall Grichuk have slotted in and just helped out that lineup. They're not stellar players, but it's just a little bit more protection. Without Trout in there, Ohtani's getting pitched around a lot more than he was earlier in the season. But I think Cron and Grichuk, if they can keep, they're just little bits and bobs players, but if they can keep helping out, that's going to help Shohei as well. this will be their first series back at home since they were traded to the Angels. So I just think they can do enough to get this over. And like you say, Ohtani pitched the shutout, but before that was giving up runs kind of consistently as well. So I think Seattle can help out, and we can get to the over 8. Yeah, that's definitely too low. The final game on the card is a 10-10 Cowboy time Eastern first pitch. The Oakland Athletics at the LA Dodgers. 2 left-handed pitchers on the bump are JP Sears and Julio Urias. I have not written the lines down for this one. Do we have them? I've written the totals down. But
yeah, we got lines.
Yeah. I just haven't written them down. Go on. Can you hit me with the lines?
Yeah. Dodgers minus 260, plus 215 for the Athletics, minus 1.5 for the Dodgers, minus 122, plus 1.5 for the Athletics, plus 102. Over under is at 8.5. So
$2.50 favorite, the Dodgers. JP Sears 1-7 on the year, 4.09 ERA. He's occasionally useful, but he is on a terrible team. 3 times in his last 5 starts, he's pitched really well. And all 3 occasions, he was on the road. He'll be okay. 1 earned run or fewer in those last 3 starts. The Athletics did score a few in Colorado, but if you can kind of take that series out of it, because it is in Colorado and they're awful. But they only scored more than 4 runs once in the previous 12 games. So you're not going to get much help off the A's. Urias is 7-6 on the year, 4.98 ERA. Still hasn't been amazing. We know how good he can be. He's got a 6.23 ERA in his last 5, and it's just quite unappealing to take Urias, especially at that price. The prices are probably right, but it's trying to find a bet. I'm not taking Oakland first 5, you'll be pleased to hear. I'm not far away, though. It's a LA Dodgers first 5, team total under. I think Sears is going to keep them quiet here. The total might be 2.5, maybe, do you think? First 5 for the Dodgers?
You got to ask Moonoff. He's the expert on first 5 team total.
Moonoff's the first, yeah. Well, I'm going out my comfort zone here. I think Sears can go okay. He give up 1 or 2 runs to the Dodgers, who might break it open later on and win 6 or 7-1 or something like that. But Sears will go okay. So, yeah, LA Dodgers, first 5, team total under.
Yeah, I'll go back with another total. I like the over. I actually saw a 9 at even money, and I even like that if you want to be a little more risky instead of laying minus 118 on the over 8.5. I made my total 9.3. Since coming back in early July, Julio Urias and the Dodgers have gone over the total in 3 of his 5 starts. Dodgers last 10 games are 6-3-1 towards the over, while A's have quietly gone over in 4 of their last 5 games. So, I do think both pitchers are good to give up a few runs in this start. I don't know about the team total, to be honest. It would worry me a lot, to be honest, with this Dodger team. So we got winds blowing out, like I said, in Los Angeles tomorrow night as well. So that should help. So I'll go full game over 8.5. I'll lay the minus 118.
Okay, we can both win, Dylan. That's fine. I think, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we've handicapped 11 MLB games for tomorrow. Lock and dog, Dylan. I'm under pressure because I touted myself at the top of the show. My dogs have been hot. But we'll let you lead off. What do you have?
All right. I'll take the bite. I'll take the Astros for on the money line, minus 115. I really don't understand this price. Yankees are incompetent right now. Their offense has not looked good at all. And like you said, I think this is going to be a nice bounce back start for Javier. So I'll take the Astros on the road on the money line, minus 115 as my lock. As my dog, I didn't really have a lot of plus prices that I gave out, but we'll go with the Cubs. Let's keep it rolling. Minus 1.5 at plus 130. Just gonna basically fade Luke Weaver in this spot. Jamison Tyne, I guess the report on him is that he's still this bad pitcher, but maybe I'm looking at a little recency bias here, but man, I think he's really turned it around. His hard hit rate has been low. He's getting a lot of ground balls, and the Cubs are just playing really good baseball right now at home. I'll take them again. Give me the Cubs on the run line, minus 1.5, plus 130.
I 100% thought we were going to be double dipping there with the lock and dog, because some of these games, sometimes you look at them and you have an instinct. The minute you look at the teams and the pitchers, you instinctively think that. And both of my picks have come out with that. I didn't have to look too deep into them. And the more we've talked about it, everything's backed up what my instinct was. The first one is the Houston Astros at the Yankees. Prices are far too close together. I agree with you. I was going to call an audible and go for a bonus pick because I did think you were going to take Baltimore as your dog at plus 115. At the Blue Jays, say Baltimore keep winning. They keep winning at nice prices. Gausman is okay, but the Blue Jays have lost 4 of those last 5 starts that he's in. So I don't know why you wouldn't pick him. Houston as my lock, Baltimore as my dog. We've done it, Dylan. Anything we need to tell the people about before we go? Have we covered everything?
No, hopefully the United States women get their shit together. It's disgrace watching them celebrate and laugh and cheer off a tie. But now, hopefully,
the US
hopefully
women's
they
national
hear this.
team.
Hopefully they hear this and we start a fire under their ass.
The US women's national team have angered you to an irrationally high level, Dylan. I didn't think you'd be this bothered.
You got me amped up for the Women's World Cup. I've been setting my alarm for 3 a.m. I set it for 3 a.m. I turned my TV on in my room, and I fell asleep within 5 minutes.
And slept through it. That's all. Sleeping through sport is one of the greatest things. I have favourite sports to sleep through, which is fucking insane because I know I'm not going to watch any of them. But snooker is a great... If there's snooker on the TV and I fancy a sleep, that's great. Bowls is another one. I do have favourite sports to sleep through. Excellent. Right, okay then. Thank you very much, Dylan. Thanks everyone in the chat. That was loads of fun as ever. Sorry we got waylaid a little bit earlier on. But me and Dylan, it was a short slate. It was a 2-man show, so we had to drag it out. We padded it out beautifully, Dylan. Good luck with all your bets. Some formation of our team will be back at this time tomorrow with the picks for Friday night. But until then, we will see you down the road. Cheers.